Muslim.
Okay, Daniel,
right?
let me respond to what you said. I got your point. Let me respond to it because I think there's an issue here, understandably so, of shock and denial. And I just need you to be aware of something that you may not be aware of. Because I started this conversation all those years ago in a similar level of shock and denial. Unfortunately for your argument, it's not just Rotherham. Yes, in Rotherham, this has been, it's the most famous one, or infamous one, because it was the first one to be exposed. In 2014, an inquiry found in Rotherham there were more than 1,400 victims, 1,400 victims of grooming and sexual exploitation between 1997 and 2013. That's just in one town, but it gets worse, Daniel. Then it happened in Rochdale. And then, in Rochdale, they found that basically sentences were given up to 19 years because of crimes committed against girls between the age of 13 and 15 in and around Rochdale between 2008 and 2010. Then there was a case in Oxford in 2013 where 5 Muslim men were convicted and handed sentences at the Old Bailey for exploiting girls between 11 and 15. All of the men were of Pakistani origin, except for 2 who were North African, also Muslim. Then it was in Bristol, where 13 Somali Muslim men were jailed for more than a total of 100 years after they were convicted in 2014 of running an inner-city sex ring. Then in Aylesbury, 6 South Asian men were jailed in 2015. For grooming underage white girls between 2006 and 2012. Then, in Peterborough, a total of 10 men were convicted of child sex crimes in the town. And the boss, Mohammed Khobaib, who was originally from Pakistan, he was jailed for 13 years at the Old Bailey after he was found guilty of forcing a 14-year-old girl to perform a sex act on him. And then, Newcastle, and Daniel, you know what? It's too depressing to carry on. It goes on and on. One second, Daniel. The pattern in all of these, overwhelmingly, is South Asian Muslim men, primarily Pakistani, sometimes Somali Muslims, sometimes North African Muslims. It doesn't help us, Daniel, to pretend this wasn't a phenomenon that was replicated across the country. What I would advise you said you're a South Asian Muslim man, therefore your name probably is Daniel or something other than Daniel. I would advise you to address this topic head on and not pretend it's not a national phenomenon, because I guarantee you that anger will rise if you come on radio and pretend this is not a national problem.
I'm not here pretending in any way, buddy. I'm not here pretending in any way. I just wanted to make sure, like, and the statistics that you showed me is right. But at the same time, okay, the pockets and areas that you suggested, okay, if you follow national statistics in regards to the paedophilia gang, nationally, when I'm talking Great Britain, not just in, right, Great Britain, right, the biggest problem that we have paedophilia, and it's been spotted, and it comes in small patterns, and then it goes away and fades away, right, which is basically mentioning the Catholic Church, which is mentioning basically the Pope himself who raised these problems, okay, where it's not just 15 girls there, 20 girls there.
Daniel, you're doing the same thing again, because you said I'm not denying these facts, but, and then your but. Hold on, Daniel. Your but was followed by a whole bunch of Buttistan, right? And let's not Buttistan this topic. I said and made very clear, if the majority of country is white, then it's natural to see the majority of representation in any crime to be by white people, because we're living in a majority white country. What is concerning is if pockets of our country, communities like ours, Daniel, yours and mine, are disproportionately involved in any one type of crime. That disproportionate number raises questions about our attitudes, our meaning British Pakistani men, our attitudes towards the rest of society, and whether we have a Muslim supremacist attitude. One of the defendants in this case, Daniel, I'm sorry you're not going to like hearing this stuff, but the truth doesn't necessarily care about your feelings. One of the main defendants in trial argued that it's his religious right to have sex with underage girls, and that was his defense. Look it up, Daniel. It is unbelievable, and you and I know that kind of argument gets bandied about. You and I know, and if you don't believe me again, look it up, that in Pakistan, you're in my country of origin, where our parents are from, when they tried to raise the age of sexual consent, it was shot down by the Ideological Council of Guarding Islamic Culture in Pakistan, shot down in Parliament and deemed blasphemous for trying to raise the age of consent. Because religion gets involved, culture gets involved. We've got to be able to have this conversation without being in denial, Daniel.
Oh, no, I'm not in denial in any way, and
You
I
sound like
appreciate
you are.
everything you're saying.
Yeah.
No. And but we've got, and the way in which way I think these guys should be treated, I can't even say on the radio, because I've got two kids, and one's a girl, one's a boy, right? So I would never, and I'm condemning it 100%. It shouldn't be allowed, even 1%. There should be no statistics where this is allowed.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the way you were portraying the conversation, the way you were pronouncing the statistics, the amount of times that you mentioned Muslim Pakistani men,
That's who's involved in it. That's the truth.
No,
I'm sorry, the statistics don't give a damn about your feelings, Daniel.
I'm not hurt. I'm not
Well, you
hurt
sound
in any
hurt. You
way.
sound defensive.
No, I'm not hurt. I'm not
You know
hurt.
what you should have done, Dan? You know what you should have done? I really wish, because you said you're a Pakistani man, I really wish, for goodness sake, after the appeal I put out on the radio, I wish you'd called up and your first thought had been about these underage young white girls, the victims. I wish the first thing you did is call up this radio and say how disgusting to do this to these underage young victims. Instead, you want to obfuscate and talk to me about how I'm, giving statistics that you don't like. And it's just, this is what frustrates me, Daniel. Why was that your first reaction to the topic instead of thinking of the girls? And that's why I think it's about time that we just stop pretending this isn't a problem and address it head on, recognize there is this disproportionate problem within our communities, and worry about the victims before we worry about you and me, Daniel. We're Pakistani men. We can look after ourselves. Those young girls couldn't.
Neighbors of Rochdale grooming gang ringleader Kari Ralph say they are terrified to let their children out of sight after discovering he's still living freely on their street, having used a legal loophole to dodge deportation. The convicted pedophile, 55, was one of 9 men jailed in 2012 for raping and trafficking vulnerable girls across northern England in a case that shocked the country. Ralph was told he would be deported to Pakistan in 2014 after serving just 2.5 years of a 6-year prison sentence. But he remains in the UK more than a decade later. He was supposed to be deported after his release, but avoided removal by destroying his passport and claiming to be stateless. Despite losing an appeal against deportation in 2018, he has never been sent back, with Pakistan refusing to accept him without valid travel documents. Now residents say he is back living in a terraced house in the same area where his victims were targeted, and throwing parties with loads of people coming and going. While victims continue to rebuild their lives, Ralph has reportedly been given extra protection, including a panic button in his home linked directly to Greater Manchester Police. One woman said she was told by officers he had done his time when she demanded that they remove him. Furious neighbors.
How long should someone who's raped a child go to prison for? Suhail Zofar raped a child. He was sentenced to 42 months. Manzoor Akhtar raped a child. He got 4.5 years. Ramin Bari, convicted of 4 rapes. He got just 9 years. These men, sentenced but not punished, already back out walking the same streets as their victims. And these were some of the few who were convicted. The Telford inquiry found that over 1,000 girls were raped and abused, and yet just 10 men have been convicted for their crimes. The Rotherham inquiry found that 1,400 girls were raped and abused, and yet just 60 or so men have gone to prison for these crimes. The scandal shames Britain. Thousands of girls, some as young as 10, drugged, raped, beaten with bats, branded with initials, doused with petrol, passed around by hundreds of men.
I was raped by around 150 men over the 3 years.
So many turned a blind eye, scared of being called racist. A 12-year-old told the police that she'd been raped by several men. The police just gave them cautions. Not one of the thousands of culpable local authority workers have been prosecuted. The national inquiry forced Starmer to announce is a step forward, but we have to ensure it is the beginning, not the end. All the perpetrators must receive full life sentences. All the foreign offenders convicted of these evil crimes must be deported, and all the local authority workers complicit must be prosecuted.
Protesting at this 4-star hotel. Let's go find out what's going on.
How long have you been out here protesting?
Now it's been 2 days. We don't go back in until they give us bigger room.
What are the conditions like in this hotel?
Not good. My friend stay in 5-star hotel. This one only 4-star.
What are the conditions like in the hotel?
Not good here. air conditioning not work in room, and we have to share room.
Do you like staying at this hotel?
No, we do not get a sports channel on TV.
How many of you stay in one room?
In room we have 3, but only 2 Xbox controllers. We are protesting because Wi-Fi is very bad here.
What is the food like in this hotel?
The food smell and very bad.
Here today, migrants are...
That, as I predicted, the mass evictions of British tenants from their homes to house our uninvited guests is in full flow. This has always been the plan. If you are a taxpayer in Britain, you are at the back of the queue for everything that you've rightfully paid for. And do you think the British public will get put up in luxury 5-star hotels just like the people who came on the boats? Absolutely not. And if you think they are, you are deluded. These people have paid 0p in tax. They've had no contribution to this country, but yet they get ahead of you for resources. Yeah, it's all done by design. And if you don't believe me, go down to your local council and tell them you've lost your home or you're in financial difficulties, and tell me what they say. I guarantee you, you will get the door slammed in your face. So I'm here.
All the stuff Tommy Robinson's been talking about, right there. They're concerned there's going to be mass riots and protests. Been going on for years, this, from the 60s and 70s. A Labour MP in the 70s, God bless her, brought up this subject. Labelled, branded, racist and run out of town. Bradford, Chief Inspector of Police, expressed concerns, labelled racist and threatened with arrest. That's how it goes. Racist, racist, racist. In the name of diversity. Horrible, horrible Labour MP. White girls need to shut the gobs in the name of diversity. Karma's coming your way, all of you now. That grenade is about to go off. PM's question times makes me cringe. Labour don't answer any questions. Yeah, it's cringeworthy, but it's going to be, they're going to get it. It's coming. What's going to happen? Public are going to be shocked, distressed, and the anger, the outpouring of anger. Maggie Oliver, bless her, campaigned, left the police, whistleblowed about this type of thing. I hope there's people at home now that are going to have sleepless nights for their part they paid in this. You can delete your hard drives and stuff like that. There's enough whistleblowers out there, good people who were silenced. I know people who've worked with kids for years, trying to do the best, yeah, and at every single term they're slapped down, branded racist. So do you leave the job or do you carry on trying to, you know, do the good work for the kids? All them victims, yeah? Jess Phillips spoke to him. That's big of her, isn't it? All the families who want justice. And then we've got latest Rochdale. Right now, breaking news. I watched the interviews this morning of these men. They exploited 2 girls without being too graphic. Right there. All the stuff Tommy Robinson's been talking about.
Down to Southport, have a meeting. I've got a few meetings here today, but right now I'm with the Bikers Against Child Abuse. These guys right here, you know, they escort kids to court, they go and see kids at the homes, they take people around to make them feel better, and they show them that there's men there to support them. So I'm going to post a link for the Bikers Against Child Abuse, and go visit them on Facebook, give them some support. I'm going to put the stuff up on the website, but what these guys are doing, they're doing their bit. question to any police officer. See how I understand the situation? You join the force to protect people, and probably women and children. Now, as I understand the system, how it's going, you go and do your job, you arrest them and you get let back out on the street, and you're not happy with it. You know it's wrong, and a lot of you have told me this. Some of you have left and phoned me. So then I see the riots where, because you're unable to do your job, the people are kicking it off, which is created by the problem of you not being able to do your job. So why then you're asked to go and have bricks thrown at you to defend the streets from the unhappy public that you've not protected, and they've had to go out and do it themselves? Why are you showing up for work? It's the people that you're protecting that have caused the problem. Now, to me, the police should be going on strike themselves. See, things would change if the police was not protecting the government that have these systems in place. So if there is any police up day, I get phone calls, voice notes, emails, stories too dark to repeat. A child left screaming in a room. A woman attacked on a walk home while the world turned its head. A 13-year-old girl preyed on by grown men in a public park in daylight. And every story ends in the same way. Nobody did anything. What happened to our country? When did we accept this? When did protecting the innocent become optional? When did the men become so disconnected from their own nature that they forgot what it meant to protect? We have sophisticated systems, layers of agencies, policies, procedures. But here's the truth. The system is slow, the system is tired, and predators don't wait. So that's why I created the Shield. Not out of ego, not out of rage, but out of necessity. Because no child should have to wait for a process. No woman should have to walk in fear. No man should have to wonder if he could have done more. And who are we? We are a community interest company, legal, structured and accountable. We train volunteers, we build street presence, we create local forums, safeguarding systems, background support teams and visible deterrents. We're not vigilantes. We are not a movement of noise. We are a return of what always was. The people standing for their own. And yes, I'm a biker. But it isn't about patches, it's about men and women remembering who they are. The Shield is growing, the momentum is massive because people are waking up that they can do something. They're tired of silence, they're tired of watching the next headline and doing nothing. We've already built this framework here. We've got a trained team. The county groups are all in the forums. Everything's in place now to start going on the streets. Now we need the rest of the country to remember its role. This isn't a group. This is the rise of a civil defence, a shield between harm and our children. Built by the people, for the people. And if you feel what I'm saying, then you already know. We are theshield.com. Become a service member, join the forums in your area, and let's build what's needed for you. This isn't about now, this is about what's coming. We are the Shield, and we're not going away.